Hello, I'm Terry David Mulligan. This is Mulligan Stew, the podcast, music, film, food, and wine. This week, music. Oh, is it glorious music? It's Joey Landreth. He's released just this week his new album called Hindsight. It follows his first solo effort called Whiskey. When Whiskey came out, it was just acclaim, immediate acclaim around the world, down to the States, as far as Norway, in Britain. All of a sudden, there was a fresh new voice and a brilliant guitarist and a singer-songwriter. Joey Landreth. It's hard to actually define what it is that Joey does because he plays like Derek Trucks. You know, he's got that voice, a very singular voice. He writes brilliant songs. He sings like an angel, and he's my kind of guy. But what makes him my kind of guy is that when he decided to get married to his beloved, he got married in Summerside, PEI, in an ice cream store. Well, it was a house. It was a gorgeous old antique house, a heritage house. My kind of guy, Joey Landreth. And I know from talking to him that he grew up in his father's house, and his father was a musician. And what they listened to were Birds, Burritos, Little Feat, blues, R&B, like great stuff. It was in his blood, in between his ears. If he was going to be a musician, he was going to play incredible music. And the brothers Landreth are literally the band to watch for me right now. But in the meantime, Joey's got to see this solo career of his get off the ground all over the world. He's been playing in the States. He's in Europe, all the way to Norway and back to Dublin. Please enjoy this conversation and do enjoy the brand new music from Hindsight from Joey Landreth. Right here, right now, Mulligan Stew, the podcast.
I've been out here for so long. I'm alive in color title of a Steve Earle song. A highway sign come out of the heat wave blur. Talk radio on my stereo gets my mind off her. Ever since I left, I'm still driving. Been 18 hours and I'm dying. The sun's gone down and I'm lying to myself. 'Cause this still hurts like hell. As long as this road goes on forever, even though I've left her, there's still a chance. Could go back home and get her. Thunderbirds off Highway 9. Get the same damn thing that I did last time. I'm missing her, just like the times before. Only different
Hello, Joey.
Hello, Terry. How are you?
I'm very well, man. Are you back? Are you in Winnipeg?
I'm in Winnipeg at the moment. Yep.
Okay, life is good then. All right.
Life is good.
I know that yesterday you released your album Hindsight. That's a big deal. We'll talk about that in a second. And I know you're headed to the UK. God bless you. And but also I just want to start right off by saying I thought I had a strange getting married. My wife came to the end of the bed and said to me, "Good morning. I've found a justice of the peace on Lonsdale in North Vancouver. He will get us married at 2:00 today. What do you say?" And we drove over to North Vancouver. I stood in the big yellow footprints on the concrete. She stood in the small yellow footprints in the concrete. And he pronounced us man and wife. Asked if we wanted a photo, a Polaroid, and we went, "No, thanks. It's okay. We're good." And so but you have absolutely trumped me here. I am just making a note that you and Anna got married at Holman's Ice Cream Shop in Summerside, PEI.
That is 100% correct.
And how did this come about? Was it just the moment, the day, the what?
Yeah, it was. So I'll try and keep this as brief as I can. But we got engaged in August of last year, and we were talking about getting married on Anna's grandparents' farm in September of this year. And I had gone out in the fall of last year on a really quite a big tour that just sort of took me all over the place and was a really great run. And so, morale was at a high, and we got a phone call from my agent saying, "Hey, we've had an opportunity open up. There's 12 dates in Eastern Canada that have opening for fortunate ones who are good friends of mine from Newfoundland, and they do really well out there." So it was a tremendous opportunity to get in front of some potential new fans, but it would mean adding on basically 2 weeks to an already 5-week long run. And instead of getting, 3 weeks at home in between tours, it would mean that I would get 4 days at home between the Eastern leg of tour, which was already 5 weeks long, and then the Western leg of the tour, which started in Los Angeles. And so it was so the long story short is I said, "Listen, I want to do these dates really bad, but the only way that I can possibly justify taking on this many more dates in an already crazy schedule is if Anna can take some time off work and we can do them together," because the dates were all solo. So it would basically just mean her and I in a car driving across Atlantic Canada in the fall time, which is an incredibly beautiful time to be driving out there. And so miraculously, she just gotten a new job, but miraculously they allowed her to take 2 weeks off, basically right like a week after she started the new gig. And it was just really special time, and it was beautiful. And we were driving down the highway in New Brunswick, and Anna said, "What if instead of getting married in September, we got married like this weekend?" And I kind of thought, initially I was like, well, no, our moms would be heartbroken, but we decided, no, let's do it. So she called not unlike your wife. She called the justice of the peace and sort of said, "What do we got to do?" We had a little bit of time off on that tour, so it was either 2 days off in Halifax, so we were going to get married in Halifax, or we had 2 shows in Charlottetown, PEI. So it was so either we get married on those days off in Halifax, or we get married on the Saturday of the PEI thing, and it ended up working kind of perfectly. And we drove an hour down. And so the people that I was opening up for, fortunate ones who, like I said, are good friends, they were our witnesses. They dressed up their tour van. They got it, they took it to the chamois early in the morning, got it cleaned out, and bought us a bottle of champagne. It was really beautiful. We drove down to Summerside, which is about an hour away from Charlottetown, got married in the ice cream parlor, and then played a gig that night.
Well, why Holman's? Why an ice cream parlor?
Originally because we had talked to the guy, the justice the peace guy, and we said, "Listen, we don't really care where. It would be nice if it's nice looking, but do you have any suggestions?" And he had said, "Oh, let's go to this coffee shop. I always thought it would be really beautiful to marry someone in this coffee shop." And then the day before, he sent us an email saying, "You know what? wondering if maybe we could look at a different venue because this coffee shop is going to be busy because of Halloween or something. And so it was whatever. We didn't care. And then Holman's wound up being just the most perfect, like, old Victorian house. Just the coolest place to get married.
Were you nervous, Joey? Come on now.
Was I nervous? No, I wasn't. I think I was a little gobsmacked after.
Yeah.
We got back to our hotel room and had 2.5 hours to kill before I had to go back and sound check. And it was like, I woke up this morning and I wasn't married, and now I'm married.
There you go.
Now, everything in enough changes, I think, is kind of the best way to describe it. So it was a little like, it took me a couple days to kind of get over it, but the actual marriage itself, no, man, I was so excited.
And later that night, when you're on stage, did you dedicate a song to Anna?
Oh, of course. And I milked that for the merch table. I said, listen, we're just freshly married. We could really use the help, getting started on our new lives.
That's
so
nice.
If you could just buy all my merch, that would be a really big help. And it did help a little bit. It wound up being a pretty good merch plug. But I think also a lot of people just kind of saw through it, and they just realized that I was just cash grabbing.
But on the night, did you sing her a song, and which one was it?
Yes, I did. I sang her a song for her a couple years ago called Back to Thee. And it was, she had sort of challenged me to write a hymn because I was really into learning old gospel hymns on the guitar.
Right.
And she said, you're working on these tunes. Why don't you try writing one yourself? And so I kind of cheekily responded, you don't just write a hymn. And she said, well, I mean, somebody does, right? Somebody wrote all those hymns. It's yeah, okay, that's a good point, actually. So then, sort of to pay her back, I decided to write a hymn for her. So it's called Back to Thee. There's no recorded version of it yet, but at some point I'll release a recording of it.
Okay. Well, congratulations, first of all, on the marriage. Secondly, on the success of the singles that have come along, the first album, the touring that's about to, that you have earned, and that the tour that's straight in front of you. But more importantly, because it was released yesterday, Hindsight, your second album. Was it any easier than the first? Were there any surprises in there that caught you unawares?
Was there any? No, not really. It was because it was kind of the process that we sort of underwent to finish this record. It took us over a year, and when I say us, I mean my drummer and producer Roman Clark and bass player Migdalovich. It was a bit of a concept record in that Roman Clark is a very talented young burgeoning artist from southern Manitoba here, and he's in his early 20s. We took him out on tour with the brothers Landreth a couple years back. Now, actually, would have been the end of 2016, I guess, or does that make sense? Yeah. Oh, wait, what year is it? No, end of 2017. I don't even know where I am half.
Wait a minute. What year is it? Okay, never mind.
I had to just do a double check. When you're a musician, every night is just Saturday night. So
of course.
Every day is just, Saturday or Saturday night. Anyway, I was really inspired by him and the music that he was creating and how freely he was creating it. And I just sort of said, hey, well, I think it would be fun to make some music together. Would you ever be interested in writing? And he said, yeah, that'd be super fun. And so we wrote some songs together, and he also is kind of one of those multi-instrumentalist, make your own record all by yourself kind of guys. And I really, really love the sound of his record that he was working on. So I said, well, hey, let's just team up and let's just make a record. And the sort of theme of the record is, what does it sound like when Joe and Roman make a record together? And that's kind of how it started. And then my longtime friend and has been my bass player in my solo project for the last number of years is dear old buddy Migdalovich. So we got her involved, and so it was kind of, even though my name is on it, it's kind of a band record in a way. So, I mean, every step of the way was kind of a surprise, to sort of get back to your original question. There was, it was a learning experience for sure, like how to share the creative process with another person. And it certainly wasn't like challenging in a negative way, but it definitely, forced me to sort of grow. And I've always been pretty in control of the creative process on my previous projects. So it was really fun and exciting to share that with somebody else, and kind of, where I would normally sort of hit the wall and go, okay, well, let's move on and go back, go work on something else and come back to this later. I had, I could lean on Roman and say, okay, I'm out of ideas. What do you think? And he would suggest something, and then off we'd go, chasing the music in some other direction. So it was really, really fun. It was very exploratory. And I think the record really kind of, if there's one thing that it kind of encapsulates, is that we were really, really, really just trying to chase the muse. Like, we'd start with a song,
yeah,
and we'd start with a little idea and just chase it and just see what came up. And there was kind of, on other projects that I've worked on in the last little while, there's always like, oh, we got to make sure that we stay in this sort of lane or this genre, or, whenever I'm playing on someone else's record, there's usually limitations. And because this was my own record, it's like, let's just make the music that comes out, and we'll worry about what people want to call it later. If they want to call it Americana, or they want to call it blues or rock or whatever. But, the goal was really just to create together. And that's really what we did.
And the reason why I like you and your music and the brothers and their music is that they tie in nicely to what I consider to be the most important thing in all of music, and that is honesty. And you're quoted as saying music is either honest or dishonest. It's absolutely true. Which is why I look at a band like Los Lobos and know that they are telling me the absolute truth. When I listen to a band like Little Feat, when I look at Tedeschi Trucks Band, I'm seeing honesty. There's no BS in it at all. And I'm seeing that in your music, and it's very attractive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, I'm very honored that you would, you would consider me as such, but that's very, very important to me, and I don't really make music for any other reason, so I know that as long as I keep working and I keep touring and I keep making music, I'll be okay. So long as I don't go too far off the deep end, of course, but I've never really been too interested in chasing what's popular or what's going to make money. I really feel like as long as we sort of try to make music with the most integrity that we can, we'll be able to keep busy. So,
Joey, tell me about. There's a track called Hindsight. We might as well talk about what kicked that into gear.
You know what? The song itself, it's just sort of talking about what happens when you get older, and sort of thinking about the, not necessarily even romantic relationships, but the relationships that you had when you were a kid, or, in my case, this song is talking about a 21-year-old version of the narrator of that story. And the idea of that is sort of the crux of that tune is, for some people who come in and out of your life, they'll only ever remember you as who you were at that point in time. And so it just sort of talks about, this person is reflecting on maybe some things that they did that they weren't so proud of, and how, you don't ever not get to be that person to the people that were around you at the time. So that's kind of what that song is about. And the reason why it kind of made it into the title track sort of position is because as I was auditing all the stories of all the different songs, they were, with the exception of a couple, they're kind of all about things, looking back on things that have happened, and sort of trying to move forward in your life while looking back on things that have happened, and just sort of trying to learn life's lessons. It's very much like, I feel like this is a record made by a 30-year-old. I turned 30 recently. Well, not that recently, I guess a year and a half ago now. And it just was kind of like instantly time to reflect. And I just started reflecting and looking back, and what have I learned, and What have I got left to learn? And, so that's kind of the theme of the record. And then there's a couple just rock and roll bashers just for the sake of it. But,
we're going to get to
a lot of the songs kind of are just about that, looking back.
All right, we're going to get to the rock and roll bashers next. This is Hindsight, Joey Landreth. Name of the album, name of the track.
I can't lie, you were right. I was too young to know better, too old not to be in the wrong. But I could have tried, put up a fight. I was too dumb and too selfish, too little too late to move on. It's easy to look back on 21. Say we can blame it on being young. Hard to believe what's been done has been done. Hindsight's all 20s when hindsight is 21. Could have lied one last time. I could have let you believe that I wasn't coming undone. Up all night, 'cause you were right. From the smallest of details to the brittleness of my love. It's easy to look back on 21. Say we can blame it on being young. Hard to believe what's been done has been done. Hindsight's all 20s when hindsight is 21. I'll always be selfish, I'll always be dumb, I'll always be foolish and young. In your eyes I'll always be, in your eyes I'll always be 21.
In looking back, I know you're supposed to, at 30, you're supposed to look back and take stock of your life. Somebody, when I turned 30, somebody asked me to do that, and I thought, okay, fine, why? That's what I'll do. When you look back, did you like what you saw?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't without its challenges. I think, as everybody does, you do certain things with grace and other things with less grace. I can't honestly say that I'm proud of everything that I've done in these first 30 years. But I am, I look at it and I look at sort of the legacy that I've left behind me up until now. And that's it, it's it tells the story of somebody who's trying to live their life.
Well, I mean,
And,
wait, hold on a second. Do you think Anna's going to marry a schmo? Think she's going to marry some weasel?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I guess that's the love of a good woman speaks to the character of the man, I suppose.
There you go.
Maybe.
Tell me about, give me a couple of those rockers that you were talking about.
Well, I mean, Where Did I Go Wrong? Letting You Go.
Let's do Letting You Go.
Dangerous Heart.
Yeah, okay. Dangerous Heart we've been playing. So Letting You Go would be a new track. Let's do that. You got to have them. I mean, if you're going on tour, you can't lull the audience to sleep. You have to give them something to take home and whistle.
I don't know. I've made a career of playing mostly mellow music. No, it's not true. That's not true. But yeah, you got to have them. You got to have them. You got to sort of step on the gas pedal and unleash a little bit from time to time.
I was going to ask you about your guitar playing, of course, is getting the attention it deserves. Do you have to find a balance between giving us the people who came to hear you play the guitar, what we want, and then what the song needs?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. That's for sure. I mean, like at the core of who I am as an artist, I'm definitely, I think of myself as a guitar player first. But when I sit and put together my set list, it is tough. It is tough even for myself just to get what I want out of the music for my own self, for my own experience, and making sure that I'm not just standing up there shredding guitar all night. And for me, I mean, although I do definitely approach my process as a guitar player, at the end of the day, it's really, really important to me that the songs are getting across. And so I've been pretty careful, and I think I found myself, bobbing and weaving every now and then in one direction or the other. And, it's just always about trying to find the right balance and making sure that there's enough guitar playing that I feel happy. But then I'm also representing these songs and these stories that I've sort of written and I'm trying to tell. And so it can be a challenging balance, but that's a big part of the fun of it. It's just a big part of the craft of putting a show together is like, when's the right time to just step on all the pedals and have a moment where you go to space and back, and when do you just let the song speak for itself? It's definitely it's part of the fun of the job, that's for sure.
Okay, we're going through very quickly, frankly. Hindsight, the new album from Joy Landreth, is his second, and it has that new car smell, and it's ready to go. It was released yesterday. Great band behind you. You did the Unforgiveness tour. I think you headed to Nashville, did you not?
Yep.
And were you showcasing these songs then? Are they road trained? Are they ready to go?
Some of them are. Yep, definitely some of them are. So the record was made in 3 chunks. The very first part of the record, which is where the song Forgiveness came from. There were actually 2 other songs that didn't quite make the cut for the record. Mm-hmm. But so we recorded 3 songs in that first session. And then in the second session, we recorded 4, which is Where Did I Go Wrong, Cryin, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and Dangerous Heart. And then the last 4 were recorded in August of 2018, and that's the title track, Hindsight, Letting You Go, Still Driving, and Heart of Hearts. And so it was funny because when I was putting together the track listing, I could not get the songs to flow together, and I felt like, oh man, I feel like we might have made a mistake here. Like they're just like, there doesn't seem to be any continuity. It doesn't make any sense. And then I put the songs in the order that they sort of appeared, sort of chronological order, and then the record made sense to listen to. Okay. It was kind of funny how it came together.
It's flow. Flow is everything, man. It's really important how we hear it. Because once you set it in that sequence, that's it.
That's it. That's how people are going to see it. So those last 4 songs weren't recorded until August, and then the tour started in September. So we didn't actually have time to really incorporate them into, and to be honest with you, we didn't even finish them until later. So So those 4 never made it into the set list. So this tour coming up in the fall, the proper Hindsight tour, is gonna showcase all the new songs.
And when does that tour start? And when do we see you?
Well, technically that tour started yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm on my way to the UK at the moment.
What about Western Canada?
What about Western Canada? It's coming. I think
So
later part of the summer we're trying to book in some Western Canadian stuff so I can do a proper CD release run at home.
Okay. And in order of just keeping that calendar in mind, once you have, because the last time you went out on the road, it just kept going because the songs just kept going. So
yeah.
Will there come a time when you'll have to get that Landreth Brothers album out in the fall, and then we'll see you a 2020 kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how it's all going to go about, but we are going to release the new Brothers record in September, and there'll definitely be some tour dates. I think it's going to be a pretty fun and exciting balancing act, trying to make sure that both records are getting the appropriate amount of touring. But all I know is that I'm going to be on the road a lot this year and next year.
And you're newly married. It's beautiful. The timing is impeccable.
It's perfect.
You played a track for us live at the Edmonton Folk Music Festival last year. That was very Little Feet-ish-esque. Do you remember the name of that title? You might.
I think you're probably thinking of "Got to Be You."
"Got to Be You." Did that make the album?
Absolutely. That's going to be the first single off of the new Brothers record, which
smart.
I don't know when that's going to happen.
Very smart.
That'll be the first single.
Very smart. All right, a couple of things. Next of Kin, which was your collaboration with the Winnipeg Royal Ballet,
yes.
Royal Winnipeg Ballet, ballet and the band. Now, that's a tricky thing because, first of all, bands, when they go out on stage, They don't want bodies moving in front of them. They're the center of attention. That's how you sell the song. You have dancers in front of you. This is your second time going through this exercise. How did it all work out?
I'll be honest. When they first pitched the idea to us, I immediately said yes. Yes, I want to do this. I have no clue how this is going to work or if it's going to work, but yes, I definitely want to try this.
Wait a minute, Joey. Was the pitch? Can you write music for ballet, or was the pitch? We want to dance to your music you've already done.
It was the latter. It was we have a choreographer who is really cool and contemporary and up and coming and very talented, and he has this idea of choreographing, to contemporary music. And we immediately thought of you guys because you're local and things are sort of heating up for you. So let's, what do you think? And I got to tell you, Terry, it was the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire career. Wow. And we fell madly in love with the ballet, and they with us, I think. And I did not know what to expect, and I could not have possibly expected what came to be. And it was one of the most honest and beautiful pieces of art that I've ever had the good fortune to be a part of. And I can say that because we really had very little to do with the creative process. We gave the choreographer access to our entire catalog, including all the unreleased music for the new record.
Yep. And
he sort of connected with a lot of the new music and then just wrote this story based on a thread that he kind of found moving throughout all the songs, and just wrote this really, really beautiful story. And it was really cool. My brother and I got to take part in some of the choreography. Thankfully, it didn't actually mean dancing, but we did move around, and we were sort of incorporated in some of the movements. So it was really, really cool. We are hoping very much to add to the story and tour it. So we're in the process of looking at actually curating music for a second part of this ballet, and then taking it out on the road.
Man,
so
that's fantastic.
It's cool, right? Yeah. It's definitely something that you got to see. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. We'll be out doing that sooner than later.
Okay, they called it Ballet and the Band, and then the co-title was Next of Kin. So
yes.
So we'll watch for those. Hearing impairment was involved in the theme?
Yeah, one of the characters in the ballet is deaf, and so it was a cool opportunity because my in-laws are deaf, and the deaf community and culture is a big part of my life with my wife, with my family, and so when the choreographer said, "Yeah," and I think these are the stories of this, these are the sort of little stories of these characters. And I said, well, I mean, we always have sign language interpreters at our shows, ASL to English interpreters at our shows, and it would be kind of a cool thing to sort of make this a part of it. And so he brought on, the choreographer Philip brought on a consultant, a deaf artist from the Winnipeg community to come in and sort of share some insight, and then wound up teaching the dancers a bunch of sign language to be used in the choreography. It was really beautiful. It was really, really beautiful.
And did your family get to see the ballet?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did, and they loved it.
I love that whole story. The bookkeeping part of this, I saw somewhere that the new Brothers album is going to be called 87. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Wow, got that right. Okay. Congratulations on the album and the music.
Thanks, Terry. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I know how hard you work, and I know what it exacts, the kind of price it exacts from you, because you know, it's your name on it. That's what it is. And now you're going to tour. Now you're going to take it on the road. And you're going not exactly half a world away, but you're certainly leaving Canada to go into. Just tell me, where did you pick up the connection with Britain, the British Isles, and Europe in terms of your music?
We went over there on a whim. We were seeing that our music had been picked up by Bob Harris, who is a very well-loved and respected disc jockey over there. And we had met him at Americana Fest in Nashville back in like 2014 or 2015. And just very luckily got a copy of the Brothers Landreth record, Let It Lie, into his hands. And he later told us, it was like, your timing couldn't have been better because everybody's always giving me CDs. And it just had so happened that you gave me your CD right as I was going to sit down in my car. Mm. So I just put it into the radio. And normally I really probably would not have gotten the chance to listen to it because of how much music people give me. Fell in love with the record. And then sort of the deal with Bob is normally he'll spin a record for a week or two and then leave it up to the fans to kind of, if they want to hear more of that artist, then they'll obviously oblige them. But he just never stopped playing our record. And so we started to get these messages from people, when are you coming to England? When are you coming to England? Wow. And then just out of nowhere, we got an offer to go and play a festival in the south of Denmark. And so we thought, well, if we're going to go all the way to Denmark, let's see if we can book a gig. And we booked a gig at one venue in London. So it was just one show in England, and it sold out. The very first show, I'd never even had my feet on the land before, and we sold out 400 and something tickets, and that's really the beginning of it. And then I went back after Whiskey came out and did two solo tours. They basically completely sold out, and so it's just been a bit of a train. Like, you just can't kind of slow it down, and just keeps picking up passengers as it goes. So the UK and Europe has been really, really, really good to us. It's a love train. So it's a love train. That's right.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Okay. By the way, I want to put a photo of your guitar, the Mulecaster, on my website. Is that the one with like the triple whammy bars over by the heel of your hand kind of thing?
That's right. That's the one.
That looks literally indestructible. That is a heavy axe.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. You don't want that strapped to your back if you're caught swimming. That's for sure.
Okay. I'm going to leave with forgiveness. And as you have said, it's a hard state of mind, forgiveness. Is that the thought behind this track?
Forgiveness comes from within, not from without. It's almost like you have to forgive yourself. You got to let yourself off the hook in order to let other people off the hook. Okay. So that's kind of what it's talking about.
I'll see you down the road. Thank you, Joey.
Okay, Terry, take it easy, man.
It feels so hard to tell the truth. I keep it locked away. Up against the wall, up against the night. It's not fair, it's not right. Can't let go of your hand, no. Can't let go of your hand. Forgiveness, I need this. I wish I was strong enough to hold it. Forgiveness, I confess, can't bring myself to turn to the light. Burning the candle at either end, that's all that I can do. If I stop moving, then the questions loom. Drinks and pills to clear the room. Don't let go of my hand, no. Don't let go of my hand, no. Forgiveness, I need this. I wish I was strong enough just to hold it. Forgiveness, I confess, can't bring myself to turn to the light. Is it for me or for you or for them? I can't tell. Forgiveness, I need it. I wish I was strong enough to hold it. Forgiveness, give me witness. I wish that I could turn into the light. Turn to the light. Turn to the light. Turn to the light.
Joey Landreth. The name of the album is Hindsight. We hope you enjoyed the tracks and the conversation. Next week on Mulligan Stew, the podcast, it's Matt Anderson. We're going to talk his music, adding horns to his music, what's happened to his career since he did that. Take a moment and subscribe to Mulligan Stew, the podcast on Spotify, Google Play Music, or Apple Podcasts. We would appreciate it very much. The more, the merrier. Have yourself a wonderful day and a great week. Take care of each other. Thank you.
You see that it's over, you see that you're moving on, but the song in your head keeps playing on and on. This bittersweet melody calls you back again. Somehow you always forget, you always end up crying, chasing a love that's dying. You always end up on your own, lied to and alone. You always end up crying. There's something about letting somebody let you down. Gotta push when you're getting pushed around. Don't gotta run, don't gotta hide. Don't gotta hide. Don't matter how hard you try, you always end up